Now with the time machine is fully functional, or I like to call it the time slide, now it's clear that what the Avengers got to do is go back in time where the Infinity Stones start to make their appearance through the occasional events that was going on for the past few years that we all seen, from Avengers, Thor, Dark World, Guardians, and of course Infinity War. So these are going to be events before that ever happened. So they're going to be split into 3 teams, which for Steve, Tony, Banner, and Lang will go to New York in the year of 2012, where the space mine and the time stone actually existed in New York. Thor, Rocket are going to Asgard, where the ether, which is the reality stone, is going to be will place that where the actually, which it was Jane that was infused with the ether, which that was inside of it is the reality stone. Yeah, I know. And of course Rhodey and Nebula are going to Kogar in the year 2014, where the Power Stone was actually hidden in that planet, and Natasha and Clint are going to planet Vormir, where the Soul Stone is held out. And this was a really cool concept that they would travel time. And yeah, you start to realize that of those suits they were wearing that you see from Target to comic book stores, that you see them that they're wearing these space suits. No, that's not it. That's a concept of what it's supposed to be. So that was a little farce advertised, by the way, because those are the pin particle suits for them to shrink themselves in order to time traveling. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. And I like the fact that the present Banner just was disturbed seeing his past self is just smashing the Shatari soldiers, and just goes like, oh god, this is embarrassing. And how he plays his role, going like, bam, crash, and just, that is just so funny. And here's some interesting things that none of us didn't know afterwards of the first Avengers movie, that we get to see the SHIELD agents like Romanoff. This is definitely before things that happening that he became Crossbones, and that the fact that they were doing their orders, obviously from the head boss of Hydra, that they want to retrieve Loki's staff and the cube. And that's where Steve comes in and just tries to act professionally and calm, trying not to expose himself. And that one liner that was, I never thought I heard it, but I felt like it was a deja vu. In that whisper says, "Hail Hydra." That was a memory that when I picked up the first issue of Captain America, Steve Rogers, that it was the big return of the original Captain America, but it was nothing more than a controversial issue of the controversial story of Steve Rogers as a double agent of Hydra, when the reality is that he's just basically an evil version of Steve Rogers, or Steve-O Rogers that people calling it, that he was just a creation that was made by the Red Skull that convinced Cubic, the living incarnation of the Cosmic Cube, to create a perfect soldier of his vision. So it was a nice tone to bring that liner, to use it as to play his role as the double agent of Hydra for this film. And yeah, it is indeed that is American ass, I will say. And for Thor, he started to remember this year, and that, of course, this is the year where his mother Frigga was gonna die by the hands of Malekith. He didn't want to do it. He's basically having a panic attack, and this is just too much. I mean, for Rocket trying to man up and try to be the Thor that we all remember, he just couldn't do it. So it basically that Rocket has to take matters into his own hands to get the ether out of Jane Foster by himself. And I will say it's nice to see Rene Russo to reprise his role as Frigga, and it was a nice tone. It was a nice scene just to see mother and son having a moment, especially for the depressed Thor, because he still pretty much he felt the guilt because the fact that he couldn't save his mother from Malekith, and the fact now she knows how she's gonna die, and that she doesn't mind for this to happen, because this was basically for her. This was a blessing, a blessing disguised as a gift, just to see her son, even if it was just for the final moments. So at that point, that felt like that Thor got some closure just to see his mother before that he has to go back, and which the success that they got the reality stone, and that he goes like, wait, I need to do something first. And also the funny part was that Frigga just said, eat some salad. That is such a mother talk for any. That is considered the best line for any mother would say. That was so funny. And unfortunately back in New York, they got the scepter, except they didn't got the Tesseract, or I like to call it the Cosmic Cube, because Tony failed to forget that Hulk went down the stairs, and that Hulk doesn't like steps. How can he forget? That's a big question. How did he forget that one event that happened, and all chaos went completely slip? Loki got away with the Tesseract, and now they basically got nothing. Except the only option that they would also need to go is that the one course is that Steve and Tony have to go back further, in which in the year of the 1970s. Also, and I did forget that there was that one part I did not know, that the Ancient One was already in New York defending the Sanctum Sanctorum, and that Banner needs the time stone, but of course the Ancient One, it was not gonna give up that so easily. And it looks like that she is aware of what's going on, why the Hulk is here, and that they're here to try to need the stones. But in the interesting tidbit that not even he didn't know about is that if you take one stone of this timeline, that will completely disarray of everything that happened of the present will cause into a darker path. But that's when the Banner goes that, what if there's another way to simply take the stone, and after that put it back where it was as if it never happened? And of course, Ancient One still refused to give it, because she doesn't want to make the mistake of herself, and that was hoping that Steve could not make the mistake that she did, until that Banner says that he was willing to give the time stone to Thanos, and that's where it comes to clearization, that she would actually did the same as what Steve did, and that she entrusts Banner to know exactly to do the right thing. And so, and Rhodey and Nebula are in planet Kogar. And now she instantly remembers that it wasn't just her that after the Power Stone. It was her sister and her father, Thanos. Exactly. This was definitely before the awareness that Peter Krill was after of that orb, which is inside of the Power Stone, and that a tinkering in the Tingle web from both Nebula, which her past self felt a disturbance that of a memory snap of a synchronized memory that was recorded of her current self, and that instantly tells me that this cannot be good, because Thanos will know exactly what happens to his future, and that basically it hasn't, which it's already done, but of course Thanos haven't done anything yet. So it was only a matter of time that Thanos will know exactly what's going to happen of his future, and he's going to do it a proper way to end it. So they got the Power Stone, and that Nebula felt a stuck that was being pulled, but because it was Ebony Maw that was simply put a stop to her, and that now Thanos knows exactly what's going on, and that she has been taken. And so I gotta say, in Planet Vormir, and we all know what happened in the Infinity War. So Natasha and Clint went up into the cathedral, and I'm surprised that not both of them don't even remember the Red Skull, because the fact that he was been trapped on this planet for eons. Now he's just basically as a guide, and just like before before this happened, that it was going to be either Natasha or Barton to sacrifice themselves for the exchanging of the Soul Stone. This was a debatable to see which of the two are going to make the ultimate sacrifice. And Natasha Romanoff sacrificed herself. She took the fall, and she's dead. So the exchanging was a complete, and that now Clint carries the Soul Stone. I mean, it was just hard to see that, because I mean, she's one of the most recognizable strong female character in the Marvel in the cinematic universe. And you know, I mean she's one of the most badass spy. It's just now that she's gone. As for Steve and Tony, they went to the past in the year of 1970s, when they factored that at the old base of Shield, which that they still have the Tesseract, and they needed more supplies of the Pym particles, which that they needed diversion, which Steve would basically to make a fake phone call for Dr. Pym, and able to get remaining of the supplies. And that Stony, did I say Stony? Oh my God. What I was saying, Tony managed to get the Tesseract, but didn't expect that his father, Howard Stark, would show up. And you can honestly tell how this is such an awkward moment for him, just to try just to see his old man, of how much that he despised him, of how much that he never spent, that he never get a chance to spend time with him. But we all know that Tony is adopted. So yeah, if you have not read any of the Iron Man comics, I suggest you look it up. The Secret Origin of Tony Stark. So look it up. But anyways, you think the fact that he wanted to punch him, but no. But he started to realize that there's more about his father than he realized, and that got him some closure. Realized that his father is not such an asshole that he thought he was. And it's nice to see Edward Jarvis, because for those who remember of the Agent Carter series, that we get to see Jarvis, but I think it's a different actor. I could be wrong about that. And for Steve, that just try to hide himself from one of the secretaries of the Shield. He couldn't have picked the wrong room to try to hide, and that this is the office of Peggy Carter. And instantly, he's still thinking about him. He still thinks about her. That's gotta be rough on him. So they all got the stones. They return back to the present, and all except one, Natasha, is not coming back. And no, they because once the exchange in Planet Vormir, there's no way to undo that was already been made. That's just how it works. That's just how it is. So the only thing they have to do now is try to make the benefit of using the stones so that her death was not in vain. So Tony modified an iron gauntlet of his design for the stones only, which that now leads to the question of who's going to wield it. And it wasn't going to be Thor, because I mean, let's face it, he's still undamaged and broken, because he's not in there correctly. And that's when Banner realizes that he's the only one who's gonna wield the gauntlet and try to master of the power of the stones. Because if you recall that Thanos used those stones twice, and that nearly almost killed him. And being asked the Hulk reek of gamma radiation that could survive through anything, and that all he has to do is just to snap on to the gauntlet and just do what Thanos did, except to undo it. And you can tell that the pain is already started to feel the feel of those stones, and the tension was so just so surreal, intense, that kind of instantly is that Banner, all he could do is try to think real hard, and by basically bringing everybody back that was been erased, and just like that, it was just. And of course that they had to check outside to see if anything came out of ordinary, in that's where you hear the buzzing noise of the phone. And this is actually the call from Clint's wife, Laura. And I wasn't kidding, and I wasn't kidding when I heard the phone buzzing. I was like, did it work? Did Hulk did what I think he just did? But the others was not aware that's not Nebula. That was the past Nebula, who's trying to please her daddy Thanos. That put one little piece to her head, and basically that may convince everyone that this is the same Nebula, but it's not. And not only that she came in unexpectedly, but also bring the warship of Thanos. And right there, nothing but hailstorms of missiles just storming down and just to the compound and just crashing everyone. And I'm surprised that everyone is still intact, not completely damaged, but damn, they just got themselves hammered down. That's really crazy. So it was completely unexpected. Thanos is now in the present time, and it's just, and all that Thanos is going to do is just, he's going to sit and wait until his stones will be retrieved, and everyone is trying to get out of the rubble. And this was the last stand for the big three to face off Thanos all by themselves. And what's cool about Thor is that he was mentally unstable until he saw Thanos. It's like his focusness, it starts to reawaken, and he's all armored up. I like the fact that his beard is all twisted and a proper looking. And now the fact that he was wielding both hammers, the Stormbreaker and the Mjolnir, and that it was now or never. So it was Captain America, Thor, Iron Man are bearing arms and just to take a stand against Thanos. It was a lot more that they can handle when they try to face it all by themselves. This was a real intense, and I thought this was almost the end of Thor when Thanos took the Stormbreaker and tried to impale it to the chest. The Mjolnir was lifted by itself, and bam! Steve was wielding Mjolnir. That was another fan service that he was worthy, and his response was, "I knew it." That was so cool as hell. Just seeing Captain America having Mjolnir and his shield at the same time. That was an epic moment right there. And obviously the directors got that idea. For those who don't remember the ending of Fear itself, that Steve actually wields the Mjolnir and screams, "Avengers assemble." But it wasn't that. It lived it for a short moment, in that Thanos didn't waste no time and just take that of that dual blade and just chop it the shield part by part. It was just, I was afraid at the moment that this could be the end of the Captain America. It was needless to say, it was a big defeat. And it was an ugly moment that Thanos, just members of the Black Order, the Chitauri fleet was standing by, and of course Steve's tenacity is basically that he's not giving up without a fight, not a chance in hell. And that's when he got a call from Sam Wilson, aka the Falcon. And I never thought it was like an unexpected miracle that it worked. Banner actually bring everyone back to Earth. Everybody from Steve, I'm sorry, you have to excuse myself, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Shuri, Wong, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Scarlet Witch. Everyone is back. This was a big moment. That it was a big standoff. And that now we get in seeing and the rest of them have finally got out of the rubble, like Giant Man, Hulk, Rocket, and we get to see Valkyrie in action. Everybody is bare arms, ready to knuckle down, to take down Thanos and the entire Chitauri fleet once and for all. And we finally, honestly, out of all the Avengers films that I've seen, not once that no one ever says Avengers Assemble till he said it. It was an all-out war. This was epic. I enjoyed it. That was the best part. We get to see this. And just Tony was relieved that it worked. That it was a big relief to see that Peter is alive, and just hug it out. And his response was, "This is nice." But I will say that we get to see an all-out female Avengers known as A-Force. So it was another fan service just to see this. And yeah, Carol has just finally got back. And I will say, for Captain Marvel's design for this film, I felt like her uniform is a little opposite of the color that what we usually do, but it's what it is. But I will say I like her haircut. It matches to the comics of Captain Marvel, probably like of the first series, I believe, or maybe it was perhaps the second one. But either way, I do like her hairstyle. It looks very appropriate. So now it's clear that everybody's back. Now they just needed to take the stones back to the proper time. But Thanos was not going to let that happen. And yeah, we get to see that Captain Marvel tries to put a struggle to ensure that Thanos doesn't get to use that gauntlet again, and just takes the Power Stone and just brush her off easily. And it was the moment that Tony realized that what he has to do. And that is to stop Thanos and try to ensure that he's not going to use that stones again, and tries to use every willpower he could to try to separate him, but it was not it. But that didn't stop him. And his last words saying that I am inevitable. But nope. Yeah. Sorry, Thanos. You are wearing the gauntlet, but this is Tony's design. And he has the stones right here. And it was very come down to what's going to happen. And his final words were, "Well, I am Iron Man." A big spark of flash, in that the entire Chitauri fleet was immediately erased. Members of the Black Order and Thanos was erased. And clearly there's no telling exactly any other villains that's been erased as well. But the damage was the cost of the bravery. Well, yeah, Tony did save the world, but the cost was very, because using the Infinity Stones, it did eventually kill him. Poor Pepper. And poor Peter. All it takes was one man one Avenger to sacrifice his own life for the safety and for others, that he took the bullet, if it meant the cost of his life, and that was the end of Iron Man. So it was a so Tony loss. Modified an armored gauntlet that can rival of the power of the stones, and now they have to make this work for Romanoff's sake. Now the question was, who's going to wield the immense of the power of the stones? I'm pretty sure it wasn't going to be Thor, because he's still mentally unstable. He's not there. And that's when Banner realized that he was the only one can use the stones to undo what Thanos did. Because as the Hulk, the strongest there is, and the fact that he reeks of the gamma radiation, that this was the only chance that he can, only one that he can bring everyone back. And a simple snap of his fingers, and tried to fight the pain, and just the unexpected happened. Now the question was, did it work? And that's when you hear the buzz of the phone, and this is a call for Clint, that his wife is calling, and that he answered, and it was like you could actually hear her voice. And that it worked. It did. It actually it actually started to work, and Hulk brought everyone back. But here's the thing, that while they were so busy trying to fight who's going to use the stones, that they were unaware that Nebula is not Nebula. It's basically this is her past self, that not only that she infiltrated the coming to the present, but so was her father and the warship, and that it didn't take too long to rain down rain down the hammers on to the compound, and everyone got themselves collided. That was a hammer down, just right to your face like that. What surprised me is that how is that everyone is still alive, barely hanging on, especially to Scott. I think the impaling of the explosion that brought the impact that instantly just shrunk himself, and Scott was trying to save everyone that was trapped in of the rubble, that and Thanos is just sits there and just basically just being that nonchalant and just wait. And while Tony, Steve, and Thor just sees that Thanos have just arrived to the present, and all that needs to do is to bring him down once and for all. And realizing that the gauntlet is still in the rubble, this was good enough for them just to hold him off. But it was. We all know that it is not going to be that simple, because Thanos is not going to go down without a fight. I like the fact that Thor had that robe, and just being as a little reference of the Big Lebowski. But thank God he's back into his armor, and how his beard got twisted and not, and now his focusness is about to be being regained, and that his last words are saying that let's kill him properly. So it was the big three versus Thanos, and oh boy, the fight was so intense. It was just nothing but a nitty gritty, tooth nail, knuckle down to the bitter end. And here I thought that the Mad Titan was going to kill Odinson with his own Stormbreaker by paling to the center to the chest. Mjolnir just rised up and just knocked him down, and that's right there. Steve was wielding the Mjolnir, and Thor was a joy of happiness, saying that I knew it, and that was another considered as a fan service, because in the comics, especially to the conclusion of Fear Itself, for those who don't remember, that in the comics that Steve actually wields the Mjolnir as he was worthy for the brief moment. So it was a good to see that, just to see that moment that Captain America rocking with the shield and the Mjolnir at the same time to face off against Thanos, but he was clearly as I said, it was only a moment until Thanos starts to just to show his wrath and just cutting his shield down by part. It was just a smackdown on his ass, and it was. And I felt like this is the part where that Cap is going to get killed off here. And this was a surreal moment to see the Black Order, the Chitauri fleet, just on the ground, just waiting for the orders from the Mad Titan. But I will give the respect of Steve's tenacity. It was the sheer will of not giving up, even that he's being outnumbered. He's still gonna put up a fight. If it meant this will be the end of him, that's where an unexpected call from Falcon, and it makes even much more. It was like a spark of miracle that the Hulk literally bring everyone back. I'm talking about Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Shuri, Wong, the disciples of from Hong Kong, I believe, Spider-Man, members of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Drax, Star-Lord, Bucky, and Baku. Yes, the Man-Ape is back. Everyone, oh my God, I can't tell you that I was about to be burst in tears just to see that everyone's back. And at the same time, I knew at some point that we are going to get having everyone back, because it's not going to end that way. No. But it's nice to see everyone back, and everyone is geared up and ready for the fight, and that Steve's epic liner has finally come, because we never get to see that in the previous Avengers films, but now you get to hear him say, "Avengers, assemble." And that was, everybody is just taken down out of every Thanos army, and just it was epic. It was so epic. This was a lore to all the comic nerds, how this is such a big moment. It was great. Yes, and you get to see that Giant Man in action and not being passed out. That's a good thing. And yes, Hope, aka Wasp, is also back, and it was a good moment that Tony gets to see Peter Parker alive, back, and just hugging him out, and response for him was that it was nice. It felt nice. And of course, now the option is to take the stones back to the proper time before anything else happens. If the stones remain here in the present time. But Thanos was not going to let that happen, so he just demanded the fire of the hammer or war missiles, if it meant that it's going to gonna attack his own fleet, and that didn't stop him from getting what he wants. And thank God Captain Marvel just shows up in the nick of time and just destroyed that warship. And another funny moment with Peter Parker just saying saying hi to everyone. And I will say that her uniform is a little opposite with the colors, but I guess that's how it is when it comes to swapping the change of the colors. But that's just how it is. But I will say I do like her short hair. It's very, very identical of the previous Marvel Captain Marvel comic series. So it was a good touch. So now all that is left is to keep Thanos distracted while they can try to take the stones back. And I will say it's nice that they also show a brief of the all-female Avengers, aka A-Force. I mean, Valkyrie, Captain Marvel, Mantis, Scarlet Witch, Mantis, Gamora, Nebula. It was a good moment just to see that. That was like another fan service. But of course, all that was that ended. Of course, the plan didn't go smooth, and that Thanos was not going to let that happen. So he took what was left of that double blade and just destroyed the van and the machine in the service. So now they have to stop Thanos for making to vanish everyone, but make everything completely worse. And Tony knew exactly what he must do. And it was good to see that Carol that tries to prevent Thanos to snap his fingers, and that it was like, you can't beat her because she's too much of an OP. And that was until that he had to take the Power Stone off and use it and try to put it back again. And that Tony was eventually trying to stop him and try everything he could to try to separate him and the gauntlet. But it just slipped him out of his hand. And that's when he says that I am inevitable. But Thanos should have realized that the gauntlet was made by Tony, so it's not like his. And that Tony got the stones in his hand, and that the power surge just started coursing through his veins, and that his final words was, "Yeah, well, I am Iron Man." In a simple flash, the entire Chitauri army, Black Order, Thanos is erased, dealt with, because in our minds, this is probably what he wanted in the first place. A sweet release of being to die so that he can be reunited to his beloved, which is known as death. That's what it is all about. And thus that the world is safe. The Avengers won this battle, but the cost was very, and that Tony Stark sacrificed his own life to save others, to stop Thanos, if it meant the cost that traded his own life. And that really, honestly, it put a little in touch with me just to see him completely on the verge of ending his own life, and that both Peter and Pepper were completely and emotional just to see him die as a hero. And definitely at least he died as Avenger, knowing that if this was going to be if this is going to be his own death, but at least he knows that he came, he saw and kicked Thanos' ass. And I think it was pretty much worth it as it is. So it was, yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie. It literally just burst me into tears just to see him to go like this. So everyone got a second chance. Not many then came out at the end. So it was a funeral for for Tony Stark, the invincible Iron Man. So yeah, it was very emotional just to see how this is gonna play it out. And to be honest, it was going to be either Tony or Steve, because it was going to be either one. So it was that literally shocked me just to see him like that. It literally shocked me, in that everybody came to pay respects for Tony. Out of everyone from Pym to Maria Hill, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, Nick Fury finally shows up, and the big question was, who was that kid that was at the funeral? And since I've seen it in the second, just to see it for the second time, and that instantly made me think, could this be the same kid that helped Tony of charging up his Mark Armor 42, the prototype that was still a prototype? I think that is him, no question. So yeah, it was just a real moment and emotional just to see that, and poor Morgan. I kind of felt bad just that her daddy just is no longer with her, no longer with this world. So it was, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this, but that was just, yeah. So the next scene, that now that the threat is over, it is time to take the stones back to the proper timeline, and Steve, all he has to do is just put those back to where they belong and come back. That was the ordeal and that was the mission. That was just it. And so, countdown went down, and the stones are obviously that they are being brought back to the way it was, but no sign of Steve Rogers. And that's where Bucky just saw an old man just sitting the bench near the lake. But he had an instinct belief that was Steve Rogers. So, I mean, that was a nice touch to bring old man Rogers, how it is from the events of the original sin, and that which in the comics that Steve Rogers lost the blood of the soldier serum that was drained out by the iron nail that made him as an old man. So that was another unexpected twist that we get to see. So that was pretty cool to see this, and it is so surreal to see that the fact that Steve just instantly retires as Captain America, but not until that he gave his shield to Sam. And right there, this was basically the beginning of, we get to see the next Captain America of tomorrow. For those who haven't read of the Captain America Sam Wilson series, then I suggest you get the graphic novel to read the stories of how that went down. So it was a nice touch, to say the least. And now which question was, how did Steve took that moment, and was pretty obvious, the wedding ring, that instantly that something really went nice, and it brings a little flashback of the assumingly of the early 1940s, that Steve got what he really wanted all along. It's just to have a dance with Peggy, and nothing but a sweet, tender, happy moment. And that was the end of the movie. So that's it. That was the end of the movie, and roll the credits. And I really like the fact that you get to see of the actors, of their signature throughout the credits. It was kind of cool, and all I can say that it was, I love it. So it was a solid 10 for this film, and regrettably that this was the Russo's final film, so they're done with Marvel Studios. So that's it. They're gonna be moving on to the next movie that they're gonna be working on. So that's it. So now the question is, what's gonna happen with Phase 4? I mean, because right now, that since everybody is back thanks to the Hulk, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're going to get the long-awaited sequel of Spider-Man Far From Home. So the question is, what other films are we going to see? Maybe perhaps we're going to see the Black Panther sequel? Or will there be another Avengers movie that would be a new generation? That remains unknown. And so for right now, with the Marvel Comics, and pretty sure everybody already aware that Malekith is declared war on all realms, including Midgard, and not to mention that we got ourselves tomorrow. We got ourselves the very first issue of Savage Avengers for the pages of the ending of No Road Home. That we get to see Conan the Barbarian, Venom, Wolverine, Punisher, Brother Voodoo, Elektra. This is going to be literally going to be a savage series. So that's all I got to say for this one. So as I said, I enjoyed this movie very much, and and a lot of work of the Russo brothers, that they put every of their masterpiece of every story they could ever get of this one big bold action movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it delivers it. So I enjoyed it. So enough said. And not to mention that we get to see Stan Lee of his cameo for the last time. So to Stan Lee, thank you. And unfortunately, this is where we're going to end this video. So if you're in the same agreement as I am, so leave a likes on this video. So I know hopefully it's not a complete drag on of me bragging this up, but that's just what it means to be as a comic book fan. But also leave a comment down below. That was said, now that's out of the way, I can get back into the regular scheduling program with reaction. And in case you haven't noticed, that the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer just came out not too long ago. I don't want to see it. Yeah, I did watch it, but it's just, it looks silly. That's all I got to say. But do you really want me to react it, or is it just not worth it? But other than that, I'm going ahead to call it a night. But I will catch you all in the next video. So with that said, Mighty Avenger signing out.